As you guys know, UFC Fight Night Zhang Mingyang versus Johnny Walker is happening in a few weeks, and this fight night will be taking place in Shanghai, China, in the Shanghai Indoor Stadium. So in this video, I'm just going to be giving you guys a basic overview of my predictions on this UFC Fight Night card. As usual for the Fight Night cards, I'm not going to be going into detail in every single fight. I'm just going to be giving a quick just overview of my predictions. So without further ado, let's hop straight into this Fight Night card. Opening up the card, we have Yisha versus Weston Wilson. And for this fight, I'm going to be picking Yisha by decision. Next fight on the card, we have Lake Nurah versus Kiefer Crosby. And I'm going to be picking Lake Nurah by a TKO. Next fight on the card, we have Machete Hessier versus Gage Young, and I'm going to be picking Gage Young to win this fight by a decision. Moving up the card, we have Rangzu versus Su Young Yu, and I think Su Young Yu is going to win this fight by a decision. Next up in the flyweight division, we have a huge prospect in Kavanaaugh versus Charles Johnson, and I think Kavanaaugh will win this fight by a decision. Next up, we have Dr. Ngozi versus Uran Satibaldiev, and I think Uran Satibaldiev will win this fight by a TKO. Now moving on to the main card, I believe, we have Michel Pereira versus Kyle Dawis, and I think Michel Pereira will win this fight by a TKO. Next up on the main card, we have Rangzu versus Austin Hubard, and I think Rangzu will win this fight by a decision. Moving up the card, we have Sumuri versus Kevin Borhas, and I think Kevin Borhas wins this fight by a decision. Now for the feature fight in the heavyweight division, we have a pivotal matchup in the heavyweight division between Sergey Pavich versus Waldo Cortez Acosta, and I think Sergey Pavich will win this fight by a decision, maybe a KO. I think Sergey Pavich recently, he's kind of lost that tenacity in his last few fights. That's why I'm picking him to win by decision. Although Waldo Cortez Acosta, he is the type of fighter that I can see Sergey Pavich walking down and just getting a knockout. I think Waldo Cortez Acosta, I do think that he lost to Sergey Spivak. I think Sergey Spivak beat Waldo Cortez Acosta when they fought at UFC 316. I think Waldo Cortez Acosta is like the weakest link in that top like 8 of the heavyweight division. I think this should be a pretty easy victory for Sergey Pavlich. And I think that will put Sergey Pavlich back on track to start making his way towards the title. But next up for the co-main event of this Fight Night card, we have Brian Ortega versus Aljamain Sterling. And I think Aljamain Sterling should win this fight pretty easily by decision. I think that bantamweight wrestling, that bantamweight just scrambling in jiu-jitsu is going to carry him through this fight. Brian Ortega, he is good on the ground too, so we can't really overlook his skills and abilities. But I just think Aljamain Sterling, he has that championship pedigree, that championship experience in the grappling. He's out-grappled people like Piotr Yan. He's out-grappled people like Calvin Kattar in the featherweight division. He like totally destroyed Calvin Kattar, and I think he's going to be able to just impose his will in this fight and win by a decisive decision. But next up for the main event of the card, we have Johnny Walker versus Mingyang Zhang. And I think this is a pretty easy pick. I think the UFC just built this card in Shanghai around Mingyang Zhang for him to get this first round knockout, which I think is basically inevitable. I think it's going to go exactly how most Johnny Walker fights have been going recently. He's going to have this big moment where he almost catches his opponent, and then he's going to still get knocked out in the first round. Yeah, I just see Mingyang Zhang getting a nasty first round KO. I think it's going to be as brutal as every single other Johnny Walker KO is. And yeah, I think Mingyang Zhang, he's going to beat Johnny Walker by a brutal knockout, and he's going to keep cementing his path towards that light heavyweight title. So that's going to be it for this Fight Night card. As usual, like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in my next video.